Imagine turning a $15,000 investment into a 1.5 million return. Sounds impossible, right? But not for Steve Robinson. Today, Steve shares how he achieved this remarkable 15x return through smart B2B marketing strategies. We will explore the tactics that made this success possible, from targeting the right audience to crafting irresistible offer. Whether you're a startup founder or a seasoned entrepreneur, these insights can transform your approach to marketing. Get ready to learn how to attract customers, build trust, and drive growth. This episode is packed with actionable advice you won't want to miss. Let's dive in. Hello, Steve. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Ash. Yourself?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you. We have a little bit of grim and gray weather as usual in England, but otherwise, all right.
We're the same here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So
There you go. There you go. But let's lighten up our listeners' day by talking about how we can help them demonstrating the different strategies and different techniques when it comes to marketing and specifically for B2B marketing. But before we start, Steve, do you have a favorite quote, something that motivates you, inspires you, you would like to share with our audience?
absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is from Louis Pasteur. It is "Chance favors the prepared mind," and it's one of my favorites because it seems like, especially in marketing, but across a wide array of our experiences as entrepreneurs, chance plays a larger role than any of us would like, right? And it feels like we don't have control in many times. And the truth is, we don't have control over the outcome of the dice roll, but we do have control over the the environment, the setup, the context for that dice roll. And the more we stay curious, and the more that we explore and keep our eyes open to opportunities, the more opportunities land in our laps. And that's something that I take with me every time I get a winning dice roll and every time I get a losing dice roll.
Indeed, indeed. I forgot the name of this person. I think I've heard it. I think Shark Tank, but it's not Shark Tank. It's called Dragon's Den in England.
Yeah.
It's equal to the Shark Tank, and I think it was Mark Cuban or someone else. He said that a successful founder is somebody who just keeps striving. Because until you get successful, if you keep failing, one day when you will be successful, people will say, oh, you got the overnight success. But it actually is all the learning you have done with all the failures on the way, right? Great stuff. Well, we are on a very good start here today because I think one of the biggest challenge every founder have in their life is making sure that their product, their service, their startup, their whatever they're working upon has ample amount of eyeballs, traction, and obviously revenue to potentially grow and then make it a successful entrepreneur journey, right? One of the challenge I have came across personally, but also through all these events we host in London, as well as all these um, emails we receive through our founders podcast small community, is when a founder launches the product or service, one of the biggest challenges is the marketing. And you have mentioned on our intro call that you have helped your clients, specifically in the B2B space, going from a very small investment, which is somewhere around $15,000 to 1.5 million within a very small, significant amount of time, which tells me that you have got them 15x return with this small investment, right? Would you be able to share that story with our listeners and why you actually chosen to go into that direction of business?
Yeah, absolutely. So this particular client, we'd been working with them for a period of time, and they had some question about how well the marketing and advertising was working, and they weren't able to separate what was sales results and what was marketing results. And so what we did is we ran a demand list study where we set aside a group of their audience that was a control group that did not get the advertising treatment, and then the other group that did. And when we ran that study, we were able to validate that their small, 5-figure investment resulted in over $1 million in incremental new revenue. It was a
Mm,
15.7x return on their investment because it was the right people. It was a small investment because in B2B, your audiences aren't huge.
mm,
In this case, we were reaching their dealers, distributors, their network of resellers, and it was through reaching that small audience on a consistent basis we were able to get these massive returns.
mm,
And I think it goes to show that it's not in marketing. It's not reach and volume and hitting millions of people. It's hitting the right people,
mm.
and that really makes the difference.
Would you be able to share which industry that particular client
Yeah.
was in?
That client was in a restaurant equipment. So they're a manufacturer of higher priced restaurant equipment. But we've seen
Mm,
similar results in other manufacturing sectors and in SaaS. Anywhere where you have that that bigger considered purchase,
mm.
um, the audiences generally aren't huge, and staying in front of the right people is really the key.
And everybody can vouch for it that restaurants are the most difficult people to sell to, right? Because they have very low margin, they're running their payrolls 24/7, and
Absolutely.
towards the end of the month they're all the founders of the restaurants are always panicking, unless they're like a big group, right? I don't know, there are restaurants like Dishum in London is like multi-million dollar business. I think they're opening in New York also. So having a a business coming to your services website or lead form, getting their interest is a very difficult task when it comes to business, because they're already busy running their business, they're already busy doing all these
Absolutely.
things, right? So getting in front of them is very tedious job, but obviously you have done it. What I would like to learn from you today, and what I would like my listeners to learn today from you, is specifically in B2B arena, what are the top strategies to get in front of your customers? I have interviewed several people. Most of them have demonstrated that you can go to the platforms like LinkedIn because it's one of the primary platform for B2B leads. What's your opinion on that? And how do you tackle when a new customer comes to you when it comes to B2B approach and marketing?
I think the key is understanding the journey of the buyer.
Mhm.
So every company is a little different in this regard. And so if we come back to the case study that I mentioned earlier, in that case, you had mentioned that restaurant owners are incredibly busy, and that's very true. So they will often push that buying decision back onto a trusted partner,
Mhm.
a dealer or a manufacturer's representative, or somebody that they have a relationship with that they trust. And so in that case, marketing to the restaurant owner is important, but it is equally or more so important to market to that channel partner, that person who is that trusted advisor of the restaurant owner. And so I always find that the companies that are most successful are the ones that understand their buyer, the buyer's journey, and who the players are in that play. Because it's not just the person signing the contract, it's not just the person who's writing the check. It's often a cast of characters, and some of them are outside the organization.
Mm.
Um, so that's probably the first key that I would look at.
Mm. The journey of the whole their purchase journey actually, and who's the key personas involved in that journey.
Exactly.
Great stuff.
Exactly.
Let's have a little let's filter out a little bit more, because 28% of our listeners are the people who are into some sort of technology business like SaaS
Hmm.
businesses, or they have a product which they sell online, or they have courses and things like that, right? um, they have put their blood and soul and sweat in the product, and now they are trying to get in front of the B2B customers, right? Let's say a very typical example. Let's say you have created a new product, let's say a chatbot. Everybody is doing it
Hmm.
right now, or agencies, right? You upload your PDF files, you put your website link there, and then it crawls it, get all the information, tokenize it, put it in the vector, whatever it is. And then now you have to search for, I don't know, agencies who provide website services or e-commerce brand who are selling stuff right online. Considering this small example of a SaaS business, let's say if I come to you, I run that business. What would be your framework would you advise to me? And then next part of the question is after following that framework, how would you approach the B2B space when it comes to advertising, specifically paid advertisement?
So the framework I like to use is what I call the orbit framework. So
Hmm.
imagine, think like outer space. Your brand, your company, your organization is a body out there, and your goal is to attract potential customers into orbit around your brand, and then bring them into pipeline, into sales, into deals, depending on how you can convert that business. So if you're a SaaS company and you're selling to other businesses, there are a finite number of businesses that are just an ideal fit for your company. And one of the things that, well, we'll get back to that. So you need to go find those businesses and then pull them into orbit. That's step one. Once they're in orbit around your brand, you need to nurture those individuals. So when they're in orbit, they know you, you know them, but they're not a customer yet. Maybe they don't have a need yet, or maybe that level of trust isn't quite there yet. But either way, you need to nurture those individuals, make sure that you stay top of mind for that whole time. And then you need to provide a great offer, a great on ramp to becoming a customer. So get them into that pipeline, into if it's e-commerce, close that sale. And so you find you only have 4 jobs now, right?
Mm.
Pull someone into orbit. Once they're in orbit, make sure they're aware of the brand. Educate them on so that they feel that level of trust and they have that level of understanding of your brand and your product and your position, and then get them into pipeline. And if you separate out those four jobs and then work to continuously improve at each one of those 4 jobs, you really can't lose.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. Would you be able to deep dive in these four jobs you mentioned? Let's take
Yeah.
the same example again. Chatbot, right? We are
Yeah.
selling this
Yeah.
to website developers and agencies and everyone, right? How do you what are the how do you separate these four jobs and what we will be doing exactly in these jobs?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first step is to pull those individuals into orbit. That means they know who you are and you know who they are.
Mm.
Usually, you're going to do that through some sort of a lead magnet. Now, if you rewind 5, 10 years, a lead magnet could be a white paper, and people to fill out a form to download a white paper. Those days are long over.
Mm.
And so today, what we see as compelling lead magnets are free utilities, free tools. So if you're that AI chatbot, if you have the ability to release a version of your tool that is free, whether that's a freemium model or some other product-led growth model, maybe it's a different tool, that's a
Mm.
great lead magnet. Communities can be a great lead magnet. We have one. I'm working with one company right now, and they have their niche is GIS practitioners, and
Mm.
there is a lack of community within that group. And so they launched an online community, and it's been a great lead magnet. A challenge or a quiz or something else that allows people to engage over time is another good lead magnet. But you get them to complete a form or take an activity or attend an event. And then
Mm.
off of that, now they know your brand and you know them and you have permission to market to them. At that point, it's a matter of staying in front of that audience. So you now have a name in a database, you have an email address. You can target paid media using that contact information. You can send emails, obviously staying compliant with whatever the rules are of where you are, and you can invite those individuals for further experiences, whether that's again, webinars and events are probably the leading way. FaceTime is so important in the age of AI. If you can get people to engage face to face, I think that's a huge win.
Mm.
As you continue to market to those individuals in orbit, now your next task is to educate them. And so ideally, you targeted people who are really an ideal fit for your unique position in the marketplace. If I'm a chatbot, I've got to be different than
Mm,
the other chatbots that are out there. There's hundreds of these that are popping up every day, and so if I have solved the problem of AI being a yes person to everything that you say, right? We have built the
mm,
chatbot that will challenge you into in your thinking consistently, and this is the adversarial thought partner you've always wanted, right? So now we've staked a claim as a unique position in the marketplace. It's a matter of making sure that our audience understands that unique position, so that they know that this is the ideal product for them and they're the ideal person for this product, and making sure that that education occurs. And then the last step is you need the offer. You need something to pull them in. And
mm,
so this is where creating some sense of urgency becomes really important. So how can we put an offer out there that has a time box on it, where, if you sign up by X date, you're going to get a 60-day free trial instead of a 15-day free trial, or you're going to get an additional, 1,000 credits you can use whenever you want for whatever tokens or whatever the unit is.
mm,
Identifying what that incentive is to get someone to act, and in
mm,
some cases that's an Amazon card for attending a meeting. Those still work, believe it or not. And
mm,
in some cases, it is some sort of a premium or bonus. But the key is that there's a time box to it, where if you don't act by this date, you don't get it, so that individuals are incentivized um, to act, because we're all busy and we're all a little bit lazy, and the easiest path is the path of inaction, right?
mm. Indeed, indeed. Okay, so let me reiterate to our for our listeners' sake. Then, first thing you have to do is you have to get them inside your orbit. So you created a lead magnet. Let's say, because you mentioned that this company, this chatbot SaaS platform has to be different. Let's say all the chatbots right now are charging monthly fee for a
Uh-huh.
one website or two. Let's say we scrap that. We will just give it to them for free. We will only charge them, I don't know, 100 credit for 100 message, something like
Uh-huh.
tokens in AI world, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's very, very popular. So that makes a little bit of difference. And we also make sure that we provide them not just PDF, not just text messages, but images or other modality for AI to read through, right? That's that. There you go. The second bit is to give them this opportunity to learn about it. So let's say um, when they sign up with us, they get 500 credits for free, which is plenty for them for 2 months to test the chatbot on their website.
Uh-huh.
They put their URL, it just scraps all the pages, and then it creates the chatbot for you, put it on your website, and it has this backlink to the chatbot powered by, I don't know, Stephen Robinson's chatbotai.com, right? Which gives you a SEO backlink also, but also gives them a free chatbot. That's done. The next bit is we started hosting some, let's say, webinars, as you mentioned, and everyone who would attend it, we will give them $10 or 20 pounds of Amazon voucher.
Uh-huh.
And during that webinar, would potentially could give them a new deal. Okay, if you buy, I don't know, 100,000 credits today, we will give it to you for $1,000 or something like that. I'm just trying to come up with some example, right? This is. Do you think it's viable for long term? Like, is this the one time thing to get like your first 100 customer, or you just have to keep doing this? And this looks to me a lot of work.
Well, it is a long-term strategy. So one of the things that is driving me a little bit crazy right now is that when you look at marketing and advertising, there is a lot of thought leadership out there. There's a lot of LinkedIn posts and vendors out there trying to sell you an easy button in the form of, will get you in front of whoever's in market for your product right this second, and get you that lead, get you that sale.
Mm.
And the problem with that, as we've seen it with in my work consulting with clients, and as I've seen it with just in the grand scheme of what makes a successful marketing program, is that your best customers aren't going to be the ones that are so uninformed that they jump to a Google search to find a product.
Mm.
Um, your best customers aren't necessarily the ones that are going to pop up through intent data that you can buy from Bombora or any other provider. Your best customers are going to be the ones that understand the marketplace that you're in, and they understand how you're different, and they're attracted to that. And if you want that type of customer who will pay a premium for your product or service, who is bought in and knows what they're buying, um, you have to build a bigger marketing program that is, full funnel is the term that a lot of people will throw out there, where you're trying to reach them earlier in their buyer's journey, and you're trying to establish that relationship and build that trust over time, and that awareness in the marketplace. And so, um, is it more work than going out and bidding on a few keywords? Absolutely. But it pays off in spades when you look at your churn rate, 6 months down the road, or when you look at your, average deal size. You're going to get that return on that investment of that time. You don't need to build it all at once either. I think that's the key. You probably need some sort of a database, whether it's your CRM or a marketing automation platform, to get these people into, and then just start attacking the four jobs one at a time, and build each piece, a month, and then get to the next piece.
Mm.
I would start at getting people in, and then working to nurture those. Although if you already have a bit of a following, maybe you start with some of that nurturing piece, and build out some of that content there.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more with you on this one, because education or helping people out could do a lot. It makes your life easy when it comes to reaching out to the exact person, right? And I remember you mentioned offer. I'm reading right now $100 million Leads from Alex Hermosi.
oh,
I'm sure you must have read all of his books. I've reached to halfway through, and he has used some scrappy and some strange language in the book. But I love this guy, man. He is so spot on. He just like literally put you into the place where you want to, like, okay, this is what I exactly want in my life when I'm, want to when I'm starting my business. So I'm really enjoying it. But let's focus on more value, right? Let's say this person who is running this AI chatbot company comes to you and say, okay, I have, I don't know, $1,000 a month budget.
mhm.
And then if the same person tells you I have a $10,000 same budget, how would you tackle these two requests? Because now suddenly you're responsible to bring him more eyeballs. It's not necessarily leads, or it's not something which brings in more business. It's more literally about marketing and getting people on board. What would
Mhm.
be the two different strategies for these two budgets?
So when I work with a company, I like to break the audience into two groups. You have a closed audience, which is generally those people who are in orbit around your brand. Uh, they're the right people because they've already interacted with you in some way, shape, or form, and those are the people that you want to focus the bulk of your efforts at. So if you only have $1,000 and you really want to focus that effort, start there. Start with the people that have already visited your website, that are in your database, and market to them. So set up some retargeting on your website, so that you're getting back in front of those individuals. Set up some advertising that is targeting them on CRM, and invest in building an email marketing program. Email is getting harder in 2026, as more and more junk is getting in there, thanks to AI. But
Mm.
If you are adding real value, you can still build a following via email. I mean, certainly the rise in Substack shows that that's possible. And so, if you have that minimal budget, start in nurturing those people that are in orbit. If you're doing a really good job of that, it'll naturally start to pull additional people in. Once you have fully funded that and fully built that out, then that next incremental investment, the next, in your case, you said $1,000 versus, I think you said ten or $15,000. Now you want to go after your open audience. These are the individuals that don't know about you yet, and you have to do a little bit more fishing out there to go find them. And so this is where tools like LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads and your Meta and Facebook and Instagram and those properties, and Google, whether it's Performance Max, that's their advertising platform that does a really good job of using AI to go and find individuals in a sea of others. That's where they shine, is going after that open audience, because then you
Mm,
have an algorithm at your back. You have the AI is going and pattern matching the individuals that are in orbit and comparing them to the ones that are out there and fishing and finding them. If you're in a jurisdiction that allows it, purchasing lists and targeting those lists is definitely a very fruitful way to go about this as well. But you want to be very selective about those that really match that ideal customer profile of who you know. Now, if you're really early in your journey, you don't know that ideal customer profile yet. So,
mm,
some cases the algorithm can really be your friend in figuring that out.
mm. Interesting. So you're saying that Google is a very good platform to reach out for an open audience because they figure out with their algorithm who could be your potentially good, customer. And then you also touched base a little bit about some meta products as well as some other products. Is that also for open audience or is it more for closed meta products?
It's interesting you ask that. That's the key question that actually got me down the path of building my startup, of building Path 3,
Mm,
because um, out of the box, Meta is really built for going after an open audience. They have
mm,
invested billions of dollars in building the algorithms and the artificial intelligence to go and fish in a sea of millions of people to find an ideal customer for someone, usually in a B2C sort of way.
mm.
Can you use that for B2B? Yes. But generally, if you're running ads on Meta, it will not show the same ad to the same person more than twice before
Okay.
moving on. And it knows algorithmically that if somebody sees an ad twice and they don't buy, they're not the right person, and we need to move to another person. But if somebody's already in orbit and you're nurturing them, you want to stay in front of them. Maybe not with exactly the same ad all the time, right? You need to change that up, but you want to be in front of that individual, and that goes counter to all of the best practices that Meta will put out there. It means running a campaign that is based on awareness, and they guide you away from that. And then it means setting it up so that you're forcing the budget to be in a certain way, and turning off this checkbox and doing all of these things that Meta will tell you not to do right there in the user interface. But that's how you nurture those closed audiences. And so, after figuring out how to jump through all of these hoops with Meta, with LinkedIn, and which has its own set of challenges and dark patterns, and then out on the web, Google is not your best partner. So we ended up pulling in programmatic advertising through a different path in order to be able to do both, to do open audiences and go find new people, and then also nurture those ones that are in orbit around your brand and make sure they understand you, and make sure you can get an offer in front of them, because you want to be in it for the long haul in B2B. There's not that many people out there that can really buy your product.
Mm.
Um, so if you've got some of them that are on the hook, do everything you can to reel them in.
What are the different techniques which still works in B2B space when it comes to advertising? The reason I'm asking this question is because I think if you do not have money, you have to spend your time. for sure. You have to
Mhm.
go to the places where your ideal customer persona is hanging out, and you have to help the community. And it takes a very long time, but it creates really tangible credibility in the space. When it comes to startups who already got a little bit of funding, let's say from an incubator or some angel investors have believed in them, if they want to spend some money and they want to get some eyeballs, what are the best strategies when it comes to B2B in the advertisement and marketing space?
LinkedIn ads and Meta ads both have the ability to embed a form right inside of an ad.
Mm,
And so if I'm going to spend $1 on advertising and I want to get the most out of that dollar, I want to come away with an asset. I don't want to just spend money on the transaction of getting an ad in front of an eyeball. And in B2B, it's very unlikely that I'm going to be able to put an ad in front of somebody and convert them into a customer in one click. Now, if I'm selling something that is uh, an absolute no-brainer, maybe. And if I'm selling a 99-cent widget, maybe. But for the majority of us in B2B, we're selling a more expensive thing that has to go through a couple of stakeholders, and it's not a one-click sale. And so if I want to get the most return on that dollar of investment in advertising, I want to convert that into a name in my database with permission to market to them. And so the best bang for buck is to put a lead form out there on Meta, on LinkedIn, and uh, um, and then cap the system on how much it can spend to get that lead form in front of somebody, which again kind of goes against the best practices. But your goal is to let the algorithm find the right people, but give it some guardrails on how much it's going to cost to get that lead, and then put an offer out there for something that is a free value. So this is that lead magnet of it could be an event or a webinar. It could be a free report. If you've got some proprietary data that this is in SaaS, this happens all the time. You've got some data that you have access to because you built the platform, right? Just make sure your terms of service says you can use that data and publish a state of whatever your industry is, and get that proprietary data out there, and then put a lead magnet out there to go get it. So getting something that's irresistible out there that someone has to fill out a form is going to be your best bang for buck in your advertising, and then that gets that people into that orbit. You can market to them from there with your email or other mechanisms, and then pull them in as a customer.
perfect. Would you be able to help our listeners around how to create an offer? Because that's also a very tedious task, isn't it? I mean, pricing could take months and months to
Mhm.
even understand how to price your product. But to come up with an offer, because it always feels to a founder like, okay, I'm giving up too much, right? When it comes to giving a big bang offer. But what are the different strategies you have suggested your customers to come up with an offer?
I'll start off with what not to do. If it's at all possible, do not discount your product
Mm,
or service. And there's two reasons for that. One, it immediately sends a message to your audience that your product isn't actually worth what you're charging for it, right? If we're discounting it, then that means this is actually what it's worth. The sale price isn't really what it's worth. And so do not discount in an offer. The second reason is if you're selling B2B, and this I think is the key thing, the person on the other side isn't spending money to buy your product or service. By and large, there are exceptions, but by and large, they are not spending money if they aren't the owner of that company buying your product or service. What they're spending is their reputation. They are sticking their neck out to say, this is the vendor we need to buy. And if it goes south, it's their head on the platter,
mm,
right? That's the capital. That's what they're spending. They're not spending money. And you can be priced higher than a competitor, and they can make that sale internally if you give them the tools. And so incentivizing with a discount isn't going to do a thing for somebody that isn't really paying for your product with money. They're paying for it with their reputation. So at that point, any offer you put out there to make that sale or as a lead magnet has to be offering value to the individual in their particular role. And
mm,
so this is where, from a lead magnet standpoint, we're looking at um, helping them feel like they're part of a community, or helping them level up, a 30-day challenge, right? You're helping that individual, not the company. The company is abstract. And then when it comes to generating that lead or that sale, incentivizing by throwing in an additional feature that makes their life easier, or throwing in free training and certification, right? That's helping the individual making the purchase. It's helping them with their team that's going to have to use the software if it's a SaaS type of thing. And get at what is the what is the value you can offer the person making the buying decision, not the company.
Mm, very interesting. Because I think Alex Hermosi also mentioned something similar. What you have to do is you have to figure out the perceived value. There's
Mhm.
like so it's something like speed is equal to distance upon time, but the value is equals to something multiplied by perceived value. And then in the dividend, it was related to the effort or time.
Yeah. I
Um,
think it's risk is one of them. The probability of success is one of them. So
yeah,
the value and then time, I think, are the three. Is that right?
yeah,
I love
yeah.
Hermosi, by the way. Like it, I feel like I cannot do justice to him when it comes to talking about offers. But
Mm,
yes, reducing risk, I think, is one in B2B in particular, because Hermosi talks more and more in terms of B2C. But reducing risk is really, of the three levers, I think, probably the strongest one you can pull.
mm,
Um, One area that we've had a lot of success in when executing, but not a success in getting clients and customers to actually pull the trigger on, is, can you offer a guarantee? Can you
mm,
say, we will refund your money if this goes south? And if you can say that, it will increase your conversion rate, a ton, double it easily. But you have
really?
to you
Mm,
have to be willing to do that, and very few companies are willing to say, we'll give you your money back.
mm,
Even though those that I've worked with that have, it doesn't really happen very often. Like
mm,
it's pretty rare. Even if you have, something goes wrong and you don't have a satisfied customer, the probability they're going to actually stick their neck out to ask for their money back is still relatively low. So it doesn't cost that much to do, and you
mm,
immediately get past that risk. And it
mm.
also helps for that person, that stakeholder who's sticking their neck out to say, this is the vendor that we ought to choose.
Yeah, and even though not just in B2B, I think B2C also, when you put that, I don't know, 14 days, 30 days, 90 days guaranteed money back, no question
Yeah.
asked, that just removes the whole anxiety of, should I put my $100 here? What if I don't get the value, right? But if it says, okay, 30 days, no questions asked, money back. I mean, let's say even 5% people ask the money back. Fine,
Right.
it's their money, right? You have spent some of your AI credits or something like that. Just continuing with my AI chatbot example.
Mhm.
And what about this 95% customers whom you enabled to put their credit card on the table, right?
Yeah. It seems it really is a no-brainer, but everybody jumps to the worst case scenario, where if I do this, what if half the people ask for their money back? No, you know your product and service is good. You know that it works. You know who is asking or complaining. So it really is it's a no-brainer as a marketer, and it's a no-brainer as the customer.
Indeed. Perfect. So I was thinking, Stephen, that we can keep continuing this conversation, but obviously we have limited amount of time, and I have to take you through the six quick fire round also. Before we jump into that, would you be able to give our customer a golden nugget, which is one of the secrets in your book, which you use with almost every customers of your, a very good, trendy, working way to get early stage eyeballs on your either website or app or whatever solution you're building with a paid marketing campaign, what that golden nugget would be?
I would say, trying to think of something I haven't already shared. So that's the trick here. Uh, the, 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 the number one thing you can do is figure out how you're different.
Mm,
And I know that sounds like it's bland or table stakes, but if you aren't positioned differently in the marketplace and you aren't screaming from the rooftops how and why you are different, you're a commodity and you will not succeed because everyone around you has more money than you.
mm. They can put
And
it on the ads and everything. Yeah.
exactly. And in commodities, scale is what wins. And to break that, be radically different, know how you're different, and know who that matters to, and you'll win.
Great. And that triggers, and I really, really want to get into my quick fire round, but that triggers another question in my mind. And that is, what is the one thing you would advise to our listeners not to do? One mistake or a setback, you might have came across, along the way with one of your customers or maybe yourself. What would that be? And additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
Don't overinvest in hypothesis or small numbers.
Mm,
The number of times I've worked with, especially early stage companies that have had a string of small wins and thought, this is it.
mm,
And then they start throwing everything at that little string of small wins and then not listening when the market doesn't respond in kind. That is the trap. That's the pattern to avoid. We have an unfortunate bias as human beings that we seek patterns everywhere. And so we will see 3 wins in a row as the pattern, right? And that means this is the industry I need to go at. This is the angle I need to go at into the market. This is the positioning that I need. And then when that doesn't materialize into a windfall, we're left going, I don't understand what happened. When in reality, 3 is a small number. If you have a data set of 100 sales, 3 is a really small number. You just happen to get those 3 in a row.
Exactly. All right, great. So let's move on to our quick fire round then. I've got 6 quick fire questions for you. At any stage, if you feel you don't want to answer one of them, just give me a skip and then we move on to the next one. Is that right?
Sounds good.
Great. What are the top 3 strategies to generate B2B leads in 2026?
Free course or 30-day challenge, an event, the sexier, better, fun, the better, and a free tool or utility.
Got it. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
I can't go any better than the one you already recommended, and that's the $100 million leads. Actually, all 3 of Hormozi's books are phenomenal.
Yeah, that's true. I have to add them up into my list. I have just bought the one. It's super expensive also. It's like 20 quid, 20 quids in UK. So it's very big registry kind of book. It's not a small book which you can take in a train and then book, right? It's a big one. So you have to sit down on a sofa and read it. Yeah, totally recommend it. What's one attribute? What is the one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Curiosity. The best founders are the ones that if they don't understand something, it keeps them up at night. They have to understand what they see around them, and it's out of that understanding that opportunities arise.
Indeed. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
I have a weekly ritual where I go through the different roles that I serve in my life. So father, husband, mentor to my kids' robotics team, etc. And I go through each one of those roles and I say aloud my vision for where I believe I am or want to be in that role. And then I go through my annual goals, and then I set my weekly tasks to make sure that they align with the annual goals. And then and I do that every week. And it keeps me grounded and focused. And the game changer was splitting up that activity into these different roles or hats that I wear. That made all the difference. I do it in Todoist, but you could do it in any app.
Interesting, very interesting. It's a good way to sort of like look at your yearly goals by splitting it into small tasks, right? Very nice. What's what's a new or a crazy business idea you would love to pursue if you had time?
Oh, okay. Let me see. Uh, these come to me like once a week. Um, uh, my daughter invented a thing that goes on the front door, and if you try to leave the house, and it'll recognize that you're walking past the door, and it will say, "Don't forget the," and then you can specify whatever goes in there.
Mm,
And she invented it to solve her unique problem of forgetting to put something in her backpack when she left for school. And I thought, everyone has that problem.
mm,
And why hasn't somebody come up with something that buzzes your phone or dings you or something as you're leaving the house? And so I would love to take my daughter's invention to market in some way, shape, or
smart.
form.
There you go. The new ring company is coming,
Yes,
but it's inside the door,
it's
right?
inside the door, right?
Great stuff. And last but not least, what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
uh, th- I uh, so I have a tendency to want to do things myself. And so I'm a big DIYer. I will fix appliances I have no business fixing. I will build things. And I get a ton of satisfaction out of it, as much as everybody looks at me like I'm a fool for not hiring a professional to do these things. But
Mm,
I'm a sucker for a YouTube video making it look easy.
awesome. Did you do the shelf behind your camera where you're sitting
No,
right now?
that's an IKEA purchase. So yes, I built
Okay.
it, but I built it
You
off the
build it.
IKEA
Okay.
off the IKEA flat pack.
Thought so. Great stuff. Well, Steve, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking last year's of building the business and helping your customers. If people want to speak with you or check out your new product, what's the best way to do it?
So you can check out Path 3, which is our B2B self-service advertising platform, at path3.media. And please, I invite you to follow or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search LinkedIn for Steve Robinson, and then Path 3, all one word, and I ought to pop up. There's a lot of Steve Robinsons out there, but you'll find me.
Indeed, indeed. And do you want to share any goodies with our listeners today? I can put that into the email.
And if you mention the fact that you heard me on this podcast, we'll get you a special incentive on Path 3. We'll double your number of active streams.
Awesome. Great stuff. So, as you can hear, Steve, listeners, that if you share with Steve that you have heard about him on Founders Podcast with Ash, then he will double your stream. So, make sure you sign up for our newsletter, and I'm going to put that information in the episode when we release this one. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Likewise, Ash. I really enjoyed the conversation.